Ciao and welcome to the Basic Art of Italian Cooking, and I'm in the kitchen of La Veranda with Susan Evans, and we're here to discuss all of the wonderful locally produced foods here in Umbria. There's a lot of things to do and to see, but there's also a lot of wonderful foods to experience, and I've asked Susan to share that with us today. Susan, can you tell us about some of the local foods that you shared with me while I was here enjoying my wonderful stay here?
Sure, Maria, thanks. One of the things that I find interesting here is not only are the fruits and vegetables of season, because you can only get artichokes or carciofi in the season, you can only get broccoli rabe in the season, but also some of the meats and poultry. And my friend Sonia, my neighbor, has a macelleria, which is a butcher shop, and as we went yesterday, we were able to taste some of the locally produced meats. But what I find interesting is, they raise the lamb to where the lamb is at the right age, right for Easter. So if you want to get a lamb for Christmas, it's not possible because they're not at the right age. And it's interesting throughout the year. It's difficult to get lamb at certain times, but then at other times it's very plentiful. And I find the same with, if you want a turkey in November, well, the Italians don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so the turkeys aren't big enough in November. So it's a very interesting process, but you get free-range chickens, you can get all organic meats, and you can get the local eggs, and just right around the corner. And I think a lot of the people here produce fruits and vegetables and meats like that.
On a seasonal basis, just like we always talk about the locally produced foods and how it's better to eat fruits and vegetables in season. Here they also produce their meats in season, and we did have a wonderful trip. Susan took us to this place that I would have never known how to find it, but all the local people know where to find the macelleria that she took us to, the butcher shop that she took us to yesterday evening, and the meats were just very, very fresh. Fresher than that, I don't think you can find. What about some of the locally produced wines? What are the wines that they produce in this region?
Well, for the whites, the most popular is Umbria Classico, which comes from the area of Orvieto. Right. And then we find for the reds, from Montefalco, you find the Sagrantino di Montefalco, Rosso di Montefalco, and those are some of the most known and popular wines around the world from the Umbrian region.
And how about, I know olive oil is wonderful in Umbria. Umbria is actually one of my favorite places for olive oil. Do you have any places like little towns or villages that produce their own olive oil here?
Well, interesting enough, a lot of people have their own olive orchards, and they pick the olives, by hand typically on each November through December and January. But there's a lot of local mills that people all have their favorites, and each mill has a little bit different characteristics in their process. But I find the one in Porto Rio is quite interesting, and it's a family-run business where people bring their olives locally and then have their olives pressed for their own wine.
For their own olive oil, that's great. We're talking about so many different foods today. And yesterday we also tried a local pecorino cheese that they do in Umbria, which was a wonderful cheese. So that's a locally produced cheese. How about any local fruit and vegetable markets in the area? Are there any local places you can go to get those?
There's a couple. There's one near Todi, that's a frutteria and verduria, and also Mondo Frutta, which is at Acqua Sparta that has fresh things come in every day. Half the time the dirt's still on them, so it's not a pre-packaged item, but it's always within season.
Exactly, and also we have to mention that most people here grow their own, their own fruits and vegetables. So, most of the locals will have most of their own fruits and vegetables, and they just supplement what they don't have with the vegetables that they get at the fruits and markets. Okay, and